That's fine, we're in a new part of the house. You're on the kitchen table and this is the house behind me, which I did not clean up. You can see my tax stuff's out there, my accounting stuff's everywhere, my journals are out there, iPad, computer, that's where I sit most of the day trying to work on stuff. So this is a very accurate representation of what the I don't know, the office-y side of the studio looks like. It is just the living room, but anyway, this is I just wanted to pop on here and say that I'm doing the last playtest press, edition 4, so don't ask me why it feels like I've published a short collection of, you know, novels, but it feels like it's been a lot. But it's only been 4, and this 4th one is the last one, and it's so bittersweet because there's obviously the satisfaction and that feeling of achievement that, you know, all the work is behind you, all of the stuff is done. You've checked it off your box, and you can look back at it and say like, wow, I did a really good job, and I put a lot of effort into that. I put my best effort into that. Like, however you go back and, you know, self-assess, which is something that I do, and I guess I'm doing that on camera right now. I have felt very, very good about the playtest press. And if I jumped back into 2018, we were doing the blog posts, which were really good because I feel like for the longest time I really didn't care about my writing. I would journal, but it was more expressive in the sense that it could be a run-on sentence for about 3 pages and I wouldn't have cared. There'd be spelling mistakes, grammatical errors, there's no real structure or narrative to it. Like, it's just feeling on feeling on feeling and just like writing it all out, which those are the journals you don't see, unfortunately, but why would you want to see them? Because they're all crazy anyway. But the opportunity to write the blog posts for the first playtest Patreon was interesting because I had to go back and really, you know, make it all count, make those words count. If I was going to sit down and spend all that time putting it all together, it should read well and it should be interesting and it should, you know, be illuminating. And those were all the things that I was telling myself, like, make it a good piece of work that you're doing, which is something I'm not super comfortable at. I'm not a great writer. I don't think I'm a great writer, but I do like the opportunity to write, if I can, in these ways, where it's still very creative, it's still very focused on things I understand or I want to be talking about, but it's, you know, it's written. I take the time to think about it, and I can put humor in there, and I can, you know, put a quote in there. I don't know, it just seemed like a very different thing to do. And this year, when I was putting together the Patreon experience that, you know, Playtest 2 was, I wanted to put in a blog post content, but I didn't want it to be the blog post from last time. And last year at the end of Playtest Patreon, I actually took all the blog posts and put them into a little magazine format so that they'd be easy to print if anyone wanted to have access to them for whatever reason after the playtest was over. And that format, once it was printed, it just seemed so much better to me because I just don't love to look at the screen all the time. I like to watch a lot of videos and a lot of movies, and obviously, you know, I watch YouTube all the time, and I like the editing, I like the video. You know, I don't always love the editing, but I do like the process, the creative process of editing. And I'm doing a lot of digital retouching of things and, you know, a lot of computer work for just work's sake. But if I could avoid reading on screen, I'll always avoid it because I just don't like to read on the screen. I find it really hard to just focus on it. I'm not a great reader as it is, like I don't really read books. It's something that I don't want to be doing either. Like I know some people really like, oh, I want to be more of a reader. I don't care that much. I read what I read because it's of interest to me, but I'm not so much into like, you know, fictional novels or reading recipe books or car manuals. I don't know, do people read those? I'm just not a great reader, but give me a magazine and I will look at every image front to back, everything. So look, I'm a very visual person, but I love to read. I don't even know why I'm explaining that, but I guess going back through it, you know, right now I'm at the process where I've just printed out a lot of the final pieces. I have a couple more things to work on. I've decided to put an article in there about the people that are a part of CreatorBox, the designers that have agreed to be on board with this first project. And I'm really excited to share that because everything's been so secretive and I can't keep a secret to save my life. So I'm excited to put that in there, and that's kind of the last thing I'll do before I print it all out, I read it all, I spell check, I check for issues and errors and printing errors or misalignment or something's off here. I'll check all of that, and then that'll be it. That'll be the last part of it. There'll be no more playtest presses for Playtest 2. And it's been good, and I think I'm just doing a bit of this self-reflection just to say I had a really, really great time doing it. And I think this, more than a lot of the other things I did, well, that's not true. I was gonna say I learned more from this than anything else, but it's definitely not true. Through the videos, obviously I learned a lot about the creative process, but as far as my efficiency in how I structure my business and how I work efficiently on the computer, the Playtest Press gave me the most of a challenge in the way of the learning curve, because a lot of how I was formatting, I wasn't used to the structure of it all. I had to learn specific shortcuts and tricks and techniques to make it all work and flow better. And so my Photoshop proficiency just went like through the roof, kind of exponentially, and that was really unexpected. I actually thought that I would have just chosen a very simple template and just repeated that until the end of the playtest. But because I was enjoying the process so much and I liked the results of it, I really was encouraged to keep learning to make it better. And every time I had a new idea, it was like, how do I do that? I need to go and search a tutorial, and I'd go and watch a YouTube tutorial, and then I'd be on Photoshop at the same time, like figuring it out, using the tools, cross-referencing. So by way of, making that process of my, creativity process, as far as like the work on the computer goes, it provided me with like a lot of good experience, and I've just become a lot more proficient at Photoshop and just in making decisions in general. I used to labor a lot over, where should this be? How much should I nudge this over? Like the tiniest bit, things that wouldn't have even made a difference, or things that I would have eventually found out, oh, nudging it that way put everything else off, and then you had to move everything out. You know what I mean? Like those things I was really, really learning quickly, because it was such a big ask, I think, of myself to put out a newspaper-ish, newsletter-ish, full of images and articles every 2 weeks with everything else I was doing. I could imagine if I cut down content in another part that I would have had more time to devote to the playtest press, because the first one, it took like over a week, really, like preparing it all and then putting it all together and then writing it and formatting it and it took literally over a week just to get it done, and I thought, oh no, I've made a mistake here, because this is not sustainable. If I have to spend one full week on a fortnightly offering and I've got other things that have to happen between that, it was just never going to work out. So I did think I was going to scrap it, but after I sat with myself, and I'm very inflexible, I was like, I'm just going to have to be more efficient. I'm just going to do better. So I kind of backed myself into a corner a little bit and just said, like, figure it out. So then I took it, down from a week. All the formatting that I had worked really hard on at the first one came in handy to like replicate and just move around for the second one and the third one and the fourth one. So I sped up the process a little bit. As it is, it still takes 3 to 4 days to put one together. So that is a little too long, I would consider, as just one part of the content offering. But at the same time, if it was something I was really enjoying and learning a lot from, then I can't take away how beneficial that is. It's something that I've had to learn, I guess, through, a lot of the decisions I've made, is that sometimes you are sacrificing over here, but the benefits that you will reap from doing that, from just giving up this one part, will serve you a lot better in the end. It's like, I am sacrificing a lot of time over here, and maybe that doesn't look like the right thing to do as far as scheduling for this experience goes, but what I got out of it was a much more efficient workflow on Photoshop, much more proficiency with formatting, which then served me to do better with the Creator Box, with bringing in a lot of other formatting projects that I've had to do over the past week, and especially like that was totally worth it. It was totally worth the little freak out of like, can I do this? And sacrificing a little bit of that time that I could have used elsewhere. It was definitely worth it in the end. Sometimes it's not, but it definitely was this time. So just kind of being thankful for that, and I'm gonna go and put the Creator Box information. By the time you see this, it will probably already be out there, but I don't know. I'm doing a pretty good job keeping this secret, so maybe I'll just keep it all the way up until the end. If you know already, and if you have seen the article, I hope you're as excited as I am for who's on board, because I've already seen this stuff. Like, I'm not gonna show you that, but I've seen it, and I am just so blown away by it. This is one of those times where I did go in with expectation, and only because in the business sense, it was like, no, you really do have to have expectation. There are deadlines, there's payments, there's contracts, you have to have expectation at that point. But I didn't really know what to expect out of what I would get, and I don't even think that the designers themselves were really 100% sure of like what they would do with that freedom. And to see what they've sent through and how much of a reflection it is of their actual freedom in their processes, like that was what was so rewarding to me in and of itself. It just, the way it looks on my screen is so great, and I'm so excited to actually have the products in my hands. I will do my best to get them out immediately. We haven't even talked pre-order yet, so look, everything I have ever made, I'll just tell you this much, if you've never caught me saying this before, everything I have ever made is because I want to use it. I couldn't care less how marketable it was. I couldn't care whether nobody else wanted it. If I had the opportunity to bankroll that production, I would do it just so I could have it. The bonus through all of it is that there are so many other people just as crazy as I am that do want to play with it as well. So I'm really excited for this because I know what all of that feels like. I know how rewarding it is to see your work produced and to see an actual product and then to see everyone else using it. And this isn't unfamiliar territory for the designers that I chose for the creator box, but it is like new products or like a new offering, and the feedback that I have so far is that they're really excited. So I'm just taking that at face value and getting on board with that excitement. Well, I mean, I guess they're meeting me there. I've been excited from day one, and oddly enough, just being the coordinator of this has not been that exhausting. Like, there has not been much for me to do except get the emails, look at the documents, pull the formatting in, which I've learned through Playtest Press. Pull the formatting in, that's been super quick, make some adjustments, Sean Connery, make some adjustments, send out the payments. Everything has been really, really good so far. So I'm looking forward to wrapping all of that up as well. And before we know it, we'll be in October, which is probably just a few days from the day after you see this, I guess. I don't know, is the last day of September a Monday? In any case, it's almost October. Right now it's the middle of September, but it's almost October for us future people watching this vlog right now. Hi future me, I hope you're not exhausted. Look at that sunset out there. Isn't that so pretty? I always imagine that when it turns like that and it's just the most perfect gradient, I don't know how well it'll show up on this, but when it's just like a perfect wash of that pink to orange to blue to Payne's gray, getting all my watercolors out. No, I imagine that God like watercolored the sky and it's just the most beautiful blend of colors that don't seem to go together. I'm sure there are many of us out there that have put some orange, pink, and blue together and not found such a beautiful result as the sky at sunset. Am I getting deep? What am I getting deep with? I'm not feeling like that today. That's self-reflection does that to me, I guess. Maybe because I'm reflecting about this, I'm just feeling all my feelings today. But I've had a really good one. Oh, I got one of the products for the Playbox arrived today. Everything looks great, but it is the company that I said that I'm cutting ties with, and that is also really good for me because once that was here, I was like, great, done, not going with them anymore, don't need to talk to them anymore, everything's finished. So I will cut ties with those folk, which is fine. That is something you have to do sometimes. Honestly, I don't think they'll miss me. I wasn't very nice in the end. It takes a big part of me to like bite my tongue, and I just felt like they were doing so many things wrong. Anyway, that was it. I wasn't nasty. I mean, I was emailing, so I couldn't really like scream at anyone, but yeah, I felt some very, very strong feelings. So I don't know did I tell you what it was? I'm not going to tell you what it was just in case I haven't sent out the Playboxes before you watch this vlog, but the product itself turned out fine. It was exactly what I wanted. I just didn't want all the drama and hassle that was coming along with it. So success all round, I guess. I'm going to leave it at that. I will see you again really soon. I'm going to get this Playtest Press finished. Edition 4, I'm going to upload it, schedule it for tomorrow, and that will slowly mark this experience coming to an end, which is sad. I don't want to say anything about it though. Like, I don't want to put it on Patreon and start talking through the process of closing it all down because I just still want to have all the fun. And it's not fun to read that. It's not fun to know that like, oh, this is all ending in a couple of weeks, but the time will just fly by, and I guess I should get a move on. At least slowly planting the seeds that it will come to a close. I know that there were a few people last year that just were not happy that it finished, but it's not sustainable. If that's the one thing I think maybe these behind the scenes vlogs have shown, it's not sustainable long term. There are other versions of Patreon, I'm sure, that would be sustainable long term, but there's just never my goal because I still think it would impede on my ability to grow outside of that platform. I think I could do well growing on Patreon, but I just don't think that with the mission statement that I work to and the one that was just driven home to me over this whole journey, it doesn't make sense to take all of that and just push it onto Patreon and then just stay there. Like, I don't always choose the best for myself, but I do know myself well enough, and that has always been one of the things that, yes, it's actually terrible for me to, like, my own personal self fears more than anything closing down the Patreon just because of the financial security that it is, but at the same time, as soon as I start changing my focus from sharing and caring and, you know, empowering, educating, encouraging, you know, as soon as I become inaccessible for a lot of people, I don't think I'm really doing what I was called to do in this journey. And I have had my eyes set on dollar bills before and have walked down a very tricky path of feeling a little dissatisfied, feeling regretful, feeling unfulfilled. So I really really try to rein it in on myself whenever I have those moments of doubt and just think, oh, we'll just keep it open for another month, or like, just do it again real quick. Like, why don't you just do it again in November? Like, just do 1 month in November. Like, those are things that really do go through my head. But at the same time, there has to be a reason for it. There has to be more than just this desire to, like, you know, shut my brain up about things that are irrational fears sometimes. But I think I do a pretty good job of keeping that part of my brain in check. Case in point, I did close it last year and I will close it again this year. So, you know, hopefully the action, maybe my feelings about it won't be too nice. Like, maybe I'll be wrestling with myself in my own head, but ultimately I do know what is best to do for me, even if I don't want to do it. I'm still very clear on that. So I'll just lean into that, trust that, and then move forward. Wow, I need to stop maybe doing these introspections with the camera, because I feel like we went on 60 tangents and now I'm literally talking about the inner workings of my brain. So let's just leave it at that. It's fully nighttime now. I'm gonna go. I'll see you again really soon. Bye.
Oh, I'm slipping away. So don't let me go, nah, 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 nah. I'm all up in that love haze. So where do we go, nah, nah? Just let me know that I am safe here in your arms. I wanna stay, stay. I'm slipping away. So don't let me go now. Your love is exceptional. It fills me up. It's out of control, out of control. Oh baby, I love the rush. It overflows. It's out of control, out of control. I'm in love. I'm in love. Yeah. I'm slipping away.
YouTube off. Hi. I think I literally just did a talking before I do this talking, but it's a different day. Doesn't even make sense. Anyway, it's Friday and I haven't done a YouTube video. This has been consistent. Like, this same problem has been a little frequent throughout Playtest 2 2019. I didn't want this to happen because I don't like feeling the pressure. I mean, there's nothing really wrong with it, to be fair. I work well under pressure anyway, so it's not like the end of the world, but I still feel a little stressed, and I could avoid that stress if I just made sure I filmed before the actual day that the video is due. But I am very committed to getting it done, and as it is, I have a lot of stuff that I want to do anyway, so it's a nice, like, forced sit down and, you know, play session. Obviously the actual doing it, like the doing all that, is the fun part, but, you know, it's the editing, the uploading. I have to make sure that there's no sound issues, there's no, like, export issues, and the upload's gonna go fine because this internet is a little slower than what I used to have in my old place. But yeah, that's one of the things that I kind of wish I was better at this year. I think I was better at it last year, but I also think it hasn't been bad. It's probably something I could have just scheduled better. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't an issue at all. I don't know, I just don't like leaving it to the actual day of filming. Even if I did it yesterday, it would just give me a whole different mindset, because as it is, it's like 4 p.m. in the afternoon on the Friday. Like, the video I've got 8 hours essentially to film the video, edit the video, and put it up onto YouTube, which is, like, obviously more than enough time. As it is, I think I'm gonna do some fashion illustration, because I just was really feeling The Devil Wears Prada, and I want to do more of that. So I think I'm just gonna sit down for like an hour and just kind of play. I might actually talk to the camera and just do one of those real-time journaling videos for like 40 minutes to an hour, because I feel a little chatty today. But yeah, I thought I'd better check in with you and just let you know that the behind the scenes of today is I'm filming and uploading on the same day, which I might just say, like, it's not the end of the world. These are the things that, like, really get me tripped up when I want to speak about them, because I've heard so many different versions of, like, why some people think it's the worst thing in the world and why some people think it's the best thing in the world, and then a lot of people that fall in the middle somewhere. I don't like it for me because I think it's a little stressful to cut it that close, just in case there are issues, which I'm just very prone to having some issues when I leave things to the last minute. Like, that's just the way it goes. I just feel like it's, what's it called? Murphy's Law? Oops, sorry, my voice is cracking, going through puberty all over again. But there are other people that think that, oh, leave it until you're actually really feeling inspired, because then you'll have the best videos. And I already kind of went on this, like, little mini rant before on YouTube about inspiration not being necessary to start any process, and I still feel like that. So for me, it's not like, I'm not gonna wait until inspiration shows up, because I could be waiting forever, or I don't know, like to me it's just like kind of a non-factor as to getting a video filmed and having a good time doing the process. I don't need the inspiration, it's nice if it's there. I usually just need an idea to work with and we can just move on. Inspiration just typically shows up once I've started. So I wouldn't leave it to the last minute for that reason. And then a lot of people fall into this gray area in the middle, and I watch a lot of content creators. Like, I mean, I guess anyone putting the stuff out there is a content creator, but a lot of people I also watch give feedback into their thought processes of how it all works. And sometimes I hear people like very far ahead with their content who I feel like they don't feel it's very connected. You know, like if their content is like 3 months ahead, then they're already living like a completely different life to the one that's being shown real time, you know? Like if my videos that I'm filming right now, if you didn't see them till December, there'd be such a big delay or a gap with where I might really be at and what you might be seeing me be at right now. So I can't leave such a big gap like that because my own personal belief is I just don't like it to be too distant. But some people really enjoy that because obviously the more ahead you are, the bigger safety net you have, the bigger buffer you have, just in case life happens, you know, sometimes that happens. Just in case you're going on holidays or something, like I will pre-film for when I'm on holidays in November. That's something that you have to think of obviously beforehand because you can't just pump out tons and tons and tons of content. I mean, you can, it's just not going to be the best. Not that it needs to be the best, but you know what I mean? I think all content that you're gonna bother to really sit down and actually try to do, you might as well give it your best effort. Otherwise, there's not really a lot of point to trying. I guess unless you're a huge YouTuber and you're just trolling for cash, which, you know, some people do, and that's fine too, I guess. That's fine for them. But yeah, I got a bunch of mixed feelings about the whole thing. I don't think it's a bad thing to wait to the last minute. I also just don't think it's a great thing. I know enough about myself to know that I can get it done, and I think that's kind of where it feels safe for me to leave it to the last minute. I know how long one of my videos might take, and I know how long a certain video might take. Something like Sketchflix obviously is going to take at least 2 hours to film it because of the nature of how long I'll be sketching for. Something like a journal with me, if it's just one spread, maybe, and there's no illustrations, like if it's just collage or something, would take like 20-30 minutes. And I might be able to do 3 of those in a row, depending on how much time I give myself to film. Editing some videos takes a lot longer than others. Like editing a studio vlog, this one in fact, takes hours and hours and hours and hours and hours because there is so much footage to go through, and you do kind of need to go through it. I can skim through a lot of parts and I can speed it up, but you do really need to go through a lot of it, just in case you accidentally left something in the background, like, you know, someone else's address when I'm doing the shipping, or, you know, maybe there's a time where I had an allergy fit and I just forget to edit that out. Like I don't want to forget to edit these things out, so I just have to go through all the footage. And if there's like 13 hours of footage to go through, that's just going to take a long time. So I know that there are certain videos that if I'm leaving them to the last minute, there's a certain type of video I'll have to make. So it's either the ones that I really enjoy doing now are just like the live chatting and then just putting some music over it and straight editing it, like not really editing anything together. If there's long pauses, I might edit some of those out, but just more of a real-time bird's eye capture, like fly on the wall type video. I've been enjoying that. That's something that I can do quite quickly since there's not really any editing involved. Because I mean, you get better at the editing as you go along too. Like, you know, when I first started, it took a long time to edit one video, but now, like the Inktober videos, especially when you're doing daily or you're doing like a lot of video content, if you're editing 2 to 3 videos a week, you're going to get so much better at the editing process, and you'll already know, oh, this type of video is this much of a time requirement. Do I have that? Can I do that? And you think, yes, I can. If you're someone that struggles with motivation, maybe you have to factor that in as well. But I don't typically ever struggle feeling motivated. I will procrastinate, but I will still be motivated to actually finish my work. So I do know all of these things about myself, and I think that's why I feel safe to leave it to the last minute, because I know, okay, something like this will take a few hours. So it's 4 o'clock, you should probably get it done now, just in case there is a mistake, there is a problem, which even then, at that point, I would just say, hey, the video is gonna come up tomorrow, or when I can sort it out, I'll put it out. So, you know, transparency is kind of your best friend if you do feel like you hit a roadblock that you can't just kind of get past. But those are my thoughts for today. Those are my thoughts on leaving YouTube videos to the last minute. And the only reason that happened is because I do prioritize the playtest 2 videos, and those are a bigger time commitment than all of the YouTube videos. I don't necessarily ever think the quality is different because each time I sit down to do something, I put my best efforts forth. It's just that the content is different, the offering is different, so going out to, oh, I mean, a case in point, the Whimsyween research and inspiration vlog. That was multiple days of filming, hours of editing, hours of actually doing the art and stuff, that was a YouTube video. So I know some people can start to think like, oh, all your best stuff's gonna be on Patreon. I like to think of it as like a bonus, like offering, like kind of an extra offering. So the Sketchflix on Patreon is different to the Sketchflix on YouTube. Like there's an extra level to it, but you're not missing out on quality just because you're seeing it on YouTube. I think that's kind of where my brain sits with it. I don't know, there's a lot to consider. There's a lot because you always want to make sure that if you're gonna sit down to do your best efforts, that it's not done in vain. I'll just shut my mouth now. I think I've said everything I need to say. All I need to say is, I know I've left it to the last minute, but I also know I can do it. So pending nothing goes wrong, I'll have a YouTube video up in the next few hours. So I'm gonna go print out some reference images to work with, and then I'll just be fashion illustrating, and you'll probably have already seen this video by the time this vlog goes up. If you haven't seen it, it'll be on YouTube. So go and watch it if you would like. You don't have to. It's fashion illustration. I rarely do fashion illustration on my channel. It's so weird because that is one of like the first passions I had for drawing as far as, you know, becoming a teenager. I've always loved to draw, but one of the first focuses I think I ever had was fashion illustration. So it's kind of a bizarre thing that I really do keep to myself a lot, and not for really any particular reason. It's not like I'm just saving that for me. I just don't find myself sharing that a lot on YouTube. So this whole Devil Wears Prada thing has really kicked me off back into that. And I'm actually excited just to play today. The reference images I got are so great. Like, I just love them. Iconic fashion imagery and iconography from the 40s up until now. So good. Fashion editorials are they're just a wealth of inspiration. I won't say I'm going into this video not inspired. I am 1000% inspired to do that. So it'll be a good thing if I can use the inspiration to get something I like. It'll be a bad thing if I find out that I'm limited in my abilities, and then the inspiration will have been for nothing. But no, it'll be a good time. I'm sure I'll learn something. You always learn something. I think I'm gonna really limit my supplies too. Like, I don't really want a lot on the table. Maybe just some watercolors and a couple of pens or something, I don't know. All right, that's it for me. I'm gonna get to filming. I'll capture some B-roll footage on this camera, and you'll see that now. Bye.
I'm getting chills when they tell me you're not yourself. Trying to move, but it's hard, I'm out of breath. Oh, nothing belongs to you in life. Oh, the picture of you cuts like a knife. Whatever they call us, whatever they'll do, they're running in circles. Of fools. Whatever we will miss, got nothing to prove. But in the dark I'm starting to. Whatever they call us, whatever they'll do, we're running together, I'll be here for you. Whatever we will miss, we'll find something new. But in the dark I'm starting to. I'm missing what's you. I see your face, your mouth looks like mine. Pretend to dream, surrounded by ghosts in white. And nothing belongs to you in life. Oh, the picture of you cuts like a knife. Whatever they call us, whatever they'll do, they're running in circles, circle of fools. Whatever we will miss, got nothing to prove. But in the dark I'm starting to. Whatever they call us, whatever they'll do, we're running together, I'll be here for you. Whatever we will miss, we find something new. But in the dark I'm starting to. I'm missing
want to try and work and talk at the same time. I don't know how, that's not going to happen though, because I'm really bad at multitasking. All right, there is some, well, this is all mess because my life is chaotic right now. Those are lots of products that are going out in the play boxes, should be shipping like in the next few days. I have a lot of work to wrap everything up, and I've also got the creator box release happening on Friday, so I'm going to try and weave all of that shipping in there somehow. I need to try and get Stella and Steve, if they've got some spare moments, to come and help me with that. Everything else is pretty good to go. I was going to wait until a certain product turned up, the one that I was just testing for the creator box. If you don't, I don't know if I talked about this or not, but I needed to test a manufacturer for washi stickers, because one of the products that was designed wouldn't necessarily work best as a vinyl sticker set, but would probably work better as a washi sticker set because of the transparent layerability. The designer came up with a really fantastic idea, and as someone coordinating the project, it was my idea to try and, not my idea, my responsibility, my duty to get that product made the way that it would work the best, which is something that I didn't realize. I don't know why, but in my head I didn't expect anyone to push outside of the parameters of what was set, but that makes total sense because creative people will think of creative things to do, and it's been one of the biggest challenges for me is every time I've tried to think of like, well, this is what I want to do with it, how do I do that? I've had to go and source manufacturing for it. So it was another challenge that just threw me into that, and I thought it was great to be able to test that manufacturer whilst we were in the playtest, obviously. And I was going to wait for those washi sticker sets to turn up so I could just throw them in the play boxes as like a little bonus. But as it is, they're not going to be here before I ship them out. So I'm really sorry for actually mentioning any of it at all. I know that's going to be a little disappointing, but I will put them on my Etsy store and they won't be sold for like a bunch of money because they were just tests, much like when I first released my die cuts and I sold all the prototype testing, like the sample pieces. It will be sold like a sample sticker set. So please check that out if you were curious. Alternatively, if you don't want to purchase them but you want the illustrations, they're in your playtest press, they're around the border, or they're in the Whimsyween prompts list download that's on the Facebook group. So you can actually access those files. It's not something crazy that you have to go and try and buy, but it'll be there as washi stickers if you want. And if not, then I'll just have hundreds of sets of stickers for myself, which is actually not a problem. I could probably go through them. Right now, I'm putting everything from the playtest into a OneDrive, a big content bundle, so that you guys can access it after the playtest. I did put a post up last night and then almost immediately had to make an edit because something happened, and this should not have happened, but let's just call it Patreon's final curveball for me. I'm a monthly upfront charge creator, so everyone gets charged as soon as you join and you pay for the month. So you should be able to cancel at any point in the month and still access the content until the month rolls over into the next one. That was not the case, and I told everyone to cancel their subscription and didn't realize that it was going to lock people out. Now, I don't know if this was a problem for everybody, but I wasn't even going to risk it, and I just made an edit really quickly to that post to say, hey, don't do that. I will still make sure that everyone who is in there gets their content bundle, but it will be so much harder to do that if everyone leaves before I close it on the 29th, because whilst you're still in there, at least you can still get the messages. If people unsubscribe now, I mean, you won't even see this until it's literally fully closed, but just to explain the issue, if people unsubscribe now, they're not going to be in the mailing list of active patrons, so they won't get the message with the link for the OneDrive. I'm still reachable on my email, so it's not a huge problem, but I do want to make sure that we get as many people with that link as possible. So I'm going to do that today instead of over the weekend, and I will update the video list to put the last 2 videos in there once they're uploaded. So that everything will be accessible in that content folder. I will just say, if you are watching this and you did download the folder, I know I've written this before, but please, please, please don't delete anything from the folder or make any changes to it. Like, don't upload anything to it, don't take anything away from it. You can download whatever's in there, but please don't change anything because it's a shared folder. So whatever change you make, everyone who has access to that folder will see it. I had a problem with this on the first Patreon bundle that I put on Etsy when someone went to buy it and they went to go and look at it and they said there's nothing in there, and I was like, how? There's definitely stuff in there. I remember putting it in there, and someone had deleted all of the content after they had downloaded it, which is not necessary because it doesn't take up space on your computer. So I'm just going to let you know that please don't make any changes to it. If you can just browse it online, like you can look at the PDFs online, you can print them straight from that folder. You don't need to download them to your computer. And the reason I would say that is that, with the internet, you're only really at the mercy of whenever they make changes. So if you wanted to make sure that you always had access to it, I can't guarantee that you'll always have access to your email account, or you'll always have access to OneDrive, or you'll always have access to YouTube. So if you want to make sure that you can keep access, even if all of those things change, that's why I would recommend downloading them. But there's a lot of files on there, so it might take up significant space on your computer, and I'm not good enough to explain how to use a hard drive because I barely know myself. I know how to use it just for what I need, and even then it's a huge struggle. So yeah, if you've got a young one around, literally a 12-year-old could probably help you better than I could. So that's what I'm doing right now. It does take a long time because the internet's a little slower here than it used to be in the old place. We changed from, I think we used to be with AT&T, now it's Spectrum, I don't know. I didn't realize that different internet providers served different parts of the city, so that's just what it is. A little slower, so I'm just going to be doing that until later tonight, which I'm out again for. I still haven't told anyone what I'm doing. I feel like I want to tell you, but I also feel like it's something that I don't want to share unless I have to share it. So I'm just going to keep it tight-lipped. Ultimately, it's really nothing crazy, but maybe you'll hear about it in the future. If not, just know that Wednesday nights I'm usually out and I don't come home until a lot later, and those are times where, yeah, I'm just out. It's a every Wednesday night commitment. So that's what I'm doing later tonight. So I do have to kind of get this done before I have to go to that, and there's a bit of prep that I have to do beforehand for those things. But yeah, I think everyone is pretty fine. I think everyone's really doing well with managing to download the content. And yeah, I haven't had any issues so far, except for that deleting access kind of a problem. Like, trust Patreon to give me one final curveball. Anyway, the last product for the Playbox arrived today. I went to go and test it. It's something that I'm really excited for because I personally wanted it. And that's, I mean, it's the most selfish thing to do, but hopefully some people will enjoy it as well. It's something very specific, and I think if I can say one thing about it, and I was chatting with Ali Brown, and I actually chat a lot on Marco Polo. I was chatting to her about it, and I was like, is it wrong that I wanted to design something that was more advanced to use? Like, I know being a designer and being a creator, we have to sometimes really strip it down to the basics so that people can learn from it and people can use it in a way that makes them feel good about using it, which is something that I wanted to make sure was this as well. It is functional, it does work, but it is tricky. I think the two things I'll mention about it: you have to have a lot of dexterity and probably good eyesight because it's quite small, but the structure of it does come with a bit of a learning curve, but I think the learning curve is totally worth it for what you can do with it. It's a stamp set, but it's much like the concept stamp set. I think when that first came out, people were very confused because they thought, well, what is all of this? Like, why do I need that? Why do I need that? That's a weird looking stamp, or why is this so basic? Where's the rest of the face? A lot of that is because I had an idea in my mind of how I would use that product. I would want that so I could do this with it. And the same thing is for this stamp set. Even though it's a lot smaller, I wanted this to know that I could do this with it, and I've been having an absolute blast with it. Like, I actually love it. I just know I know it's a bit of an advanced process to go through, so I do trust you with that. Like, that's one of the other things too. I thought there are people out there that do want something a little bit more advanced to do. Sometimes, I know even when I've had products before, I don't love when they're, I think, too simple. Like, there's no real challenge to it. And it seems like if you do acquire skill enough to get yourself to a certain level of, illustration ability, or if you get yourself to, a relative competency with some kind of skill, that there's a gap for products in that skill range where we still love to draw, we still love to stamp, we still love to paint and play, but where is all the tools and the extra, more advanced stuff for that category? So that's something that Ali and I were kind of talking about, because I just said, is that way too selfish that I did this for me, knowing that it would be difficult, but I think I just want that. and she was really she was really supportive. She said it wasn't that selfish, but she did agree that like it probably would be a little advanced for some people, but at the same time that's also a good challenge to grow into, and it's not like it's impossible. You just have to read through the steps, which, me being someone that avoids steps, I can empathize with you. If you do find it too annoying and too difficult, I won't take offense to it. Please find someone that you could pass it on to that might enjoy it. I was just playing with all of that since it came today, and I'm just obsessed with it. You'll see it in a few days, I'm sure, but I've been really, really busy packing all of that up. I'm super excited about the creator box. We've already looked at who the creators are. So excited for that. The products are just so them and have exceeded all expectations I could have had. I love that there is such a unique blueprint from each designer on their product, and I think I'm most excited that not only will you get to enjoy it, but you'll get to enjoy multiple different people. And that's something about Creator Box that made me more excited than anything. At one point I did just think, what if I chose one person, and what if I just really gave one person that whole range of products to do? Which personally I probably would have enjoyed if I were offering that to me in the past, but at the same time it's a huge commitment to launching yourself into a design process, and as it were, I think I was asking a lot if you had never had any experience with that before. So having one product to focus on I think was better, and then ultimately as a customer receiving a box with multiple varied products in different styles I think is more stimulating for that creativity. That's how I feel about it right now. I'm more excited than anything to actually get the physical products in my hand so I can use them, because selfishly again, I just want to use them all. That's a good thing though, right? Imagine if you were creating things that you didn't want to use. That is one, I mean, let's just segue into this for a second. That is one thing that I get nervous about when I used to think that if I reached a certain level, like if I reached a certain skill, or if I got a certain golden number on Instagram or something, that I would have this dream come true where a company would ask me to be a designer for them. And it was something that I was working towards. I'm not going to say I wasn't. I was putting myself out there like that, but even then I had a few opportunities that, you know, kind of came and went, and I felt like I saw really, really quickly, and then was told by people that I had met and had interactions with and, you know, had chatted with behind the scenes. I was just told, like, if you can drive the direction of your own brand, if you can keep that control, don't give it up, because ultimately at the end of the day, being a designer for a company is not so much about what you want, it's about what they believe they can sell with your name attached to it. And so just the thought, just the theoretical idea that some company would say, hey, we want you to design, I don't know, a color by numbers book. That is something that I don't want to do. I don't want to do it. Maybe a coloring book, but I don't want to do like a specific color by numbers. What if this company is just saying, well, we have a gap in that all of our other designers do coloring in, we want you to do color by numbers, because maybe your fairies and mermaids work best with that, and we can market it to kids, so make them really simple illustrations. I would freak out and probably quit immediately because I don't like being told what to do with it. It's been such a gratuitous task to be able to create products that I do want to use, and I've had these conversations before in the past. Obviously I'm not going to go into detail to respect people's privacies, but you know, you may want, maybe I have a color palette that I really love, for example, and maybe I do get to design a product that I like. Maybe I get to design a watercolor set with a company, but instead of it being the watercolors I want, like granulating and multi-pigmented and maybe a good light fast quality, maybe that company is a student grade or craft grade company, and I'm only getting private labeled watercolors, which is fine. We're all very used to those, I think. I think a lot of us do have private labeled watercolor tins. The problem with that is you're only selecting from a color palette that they've already got. And so even then, when I select it, and maybe I'll have fun naming the colors, maybe some of them don't work like I wanted. Like one of my favorite copper candles, or the rose gold that I was handmade by a friend, or the Manhattan by designs by Rachel Beth. If I wanted something like that in my palette, would be too expensive for that company, so it's an immediate no. And then I'm thinking, well, how do I put an alternative in there that I want it to be that good, or I don't want it at all? That's me. You can't be like that with a company. They're saying, no, you have to choose the alternatives so that we can afford it, and whatever you come up with is what you come up with. Oh, but by the way, it can't be a portrait set because one of our other designers did that. or it can't be, just for instance, if you're working at Prima, you can't put out another Tropicals set, or you could call it Tropicals 2, but perhaps they saw that maybe there was a decline in sales for Tropicals 1, and they don't want to trust you with Tropicals 2, so they just give you an Easter set instead. Things like that, you start to give away the creative control, and for someone that is so decisive and independent like myself, I was warned earlier this year, actually, funnily enough, not to over-glamorize the idea of being selected by a company to design for them. And I think in a way that really helped me figure out how I wanted to offer this creator box to the designers. I wanted to give them the opportunity to do what they wanted with it, but obviously give them a product, but say whatever goes. I'm not telling you that we're doing a Christmas version because it will be released near Christmas, because that was one of the first questions I got, was like, does it have to be Christmas themed? And I said, no, whatever you want. You've got this product, what would you love to see on it? And I think, it's not totally free in the sense that you are given the product, but the design elements are totally yours, whatever you would like to see with it. And I think that's why they did so well, because they did have creative freedom to choose for themselves. And maybe there was a size, like there was a specific file specification, don't go over 20 millimeters because it's a washi tape and it needs to be 20 millimeters. But, no kind of, hey, it's a seasonal washi tape and I need words on it because that's what's hot right now. That's not wrong of companies to want, because companies do need to focus on profit and marketability, and companies need that turnover of income because you're doing a lot. For an indie brand, like a personal investment, like a creator that's running a small business, you have so much more control over what you do. And yes, it can be scary, but it is so rewarding at the same time. And that's where I think that we're really seeing a shift from people. I mean, not a huge shift, but I think we're seeing a lot more trust being placed in independent designers. I noticed this when Mindy Lacefield started doing a lot of her own washi tapes, and how many times I would be sent Happy Mail with Mindy's washi tape on there. And that's what really felt encouraging, because at the same time, I was releasing the stamp sets and the washi tapes. And I think we were seeing this shift in people trusting that indie brands were doing a good job sourcing a manufacturer and doing a good job with the designing, and being able to really reflect on their own vision or their own personal creativity to enhance the experience of being a part of that community. And now that we're all kind of getting into that, and hopefully the Creator Box is something that can bring more people into it. That's my dream for it, is that it would be a nice launching point for people that wanted to get there. I think we're going to see a lot more individualized and personalized creativity come out, and it ultimately it serves the customer, because your opportunities might seem endless right now, but from what I've seen here, you're not seeing some of the stuff that I'm seeing for these products. It's so exciting. And I think if I could say anything, it's just thank you, because I would not have had the opportunity to do this without you being a part of Playtest 2. It was the only way I think I could have actually managed to throw myself into this project. It has been something that I've considered. I think I remember in my church journal, I had written it down one Sunday in the in the little notes section, and I wrote down a bunch of people's names and thought, I think I'm going to ask these people if this is interesting to them. And I remember gauging interest last year, and for it to be now, it just seems like it's been waiting for so long, and I'm just really excited. So yeah, sorry for the random segue, just added another 20 minutes to your video. What else is new? All right, I have to get back to this. I just wanted to say hi, and that I really am wrapping up the playtest too. Like it is coming to a very quick ending, and I will maybe get on camera and cry about it another time. If you see that this is only halfway through the video, I've gone in a really big, long conversation about my feelings about the playtest. I would really like to do that and kind of leave this vlog just reflecting on a lot of it. So I think I'll leave you with that, and I'll see you again really soon. Bye.
I'm walking down the street on clouds instead of the concrete I'm dancing through. Everything's about to come my way, nothing can ruin my day. No matter what anyone does or say, I smile at fools. No, I don't care, cause I am on my way up, and I won't stop, I won't slow down. Steady on my feet, I'm gonna rise up. No, I won't stop, it is my time. I know what it's like to be broke. I know what it's like like when nothing goes your way. So I'm gonna let myself enjoy the fruit from this lucky day. Yeah, I am on my way up. I won't slow down. Yeah, I am on my way up. I won't slow down. I'm strolling down the street with all of my favorite songs on repeat. I'm dancing through. Everything's about to come my way, and I don't care if you spill coffee on me or if the sky is gray or blue. No, I don't care, cause I am on my way up, and I won't stop, I won't slow down. Steady on my feet, I'm gonna rise.
Okay, g'day, hello. This is my last check-in. I have secretly been editing that studio vlog, and 15 hours of clips did not edit down well. So if you've made it this far, congratulations. That was 2 hours of your life you're actually never gonna get back. So hopefully it was worth it. I wanted to get on here and just wrap everything up, you know, with a nice little bow. You know, I love my ribbons. I just want to say thank you. My most sincere, heartfelt gratitude to every single person that came through Playtest 2 this year, or that will come in the future, or that were here in Playtest Patreon last year. It's never lost on me how special that experience is, and how much of a blessing it is to have the opportunity just to share in that way, and to be the recipient of all of your creativity. A lot of what I get to do is just put out there, but one of the most rewarding things is to get it back, to see what you do with these lessons, what you do with the tutorials, how you print things out and cut them up, and how you share, how you engage with some of the stories that, you know, are being shared, not just with me, but with our larger parts of a community. Like, it's never lost on me how special that is, and I just want to make sure that you do know that, and that I appreciate it so much. I know usually I say I don't have words to express how I feel, and then I keep talking anyway, so it's pretty clear that I do always have words to say, and all I want to leave you with are the good ones, you know, for now. I'll just say we had a few curveballs this week. I thought the final 2 curveballs were the ones I was dealing with, but really the last one was the whole OneDrive link kind of crashing. Which, if you're seeing this, hopefully it's been resolved for you. It will get resolved. It's just a matter of the link went out to too many people too quickly, which I didn't realize. It triggered an anti-piracy kind of a lockdown. It does reset, so it should be fine. Maybe it'll take a couple of days just to get everyone access to the OneDrive, but we'll get there. And that's something that I just, you know, it'll keep Patreon alive for me for the next few days. But you know, it's gonna be here for as long as you want. So please feel free to go back through the playtest. If there's anything you've missed, you want to try again, or you want to just have a closer look at, please feel free to keep sharing under those hashtags, or just keep sharing in general. One of the best parts, like I said, the most rewarding part, is to share that. And not just from me to you, but from you to everyone that you have access to, that you have reach to. We're all a part of this community together, but I know every single person watching has an extended community of their own, and I just want to encourage you to take everything that you are feeling good about, that you are feeling fulfilled with, and to give that to as many people as you can. I just want you to be able to have fun with this, like I've always wanted you to be able to have fun with this, and I don't think it should end just because we're all not going to be on Patreon together. So I hope that's encouraging for you. I'm going to get the mailer boxes out this week, which by the time you see this, maybe you have yours. I hope it arrived to you safely. I'm really excited about that too, and that will probably be the last bit of Playtest 2 work that I have for 2019. I won't keep you for much longer, just because you literally are going to be here for like 9 hours if I just keep talking. So I just want to say again, thank you so much. Thank you for joining Playtest 2. Yes, I would love to try this again. I'm not quite sure if I want to go forward with a playtest, in the sense that we're just doing a lot of random varied content and then testing manufacturers for mailer boxes and stuff, or if I maybe want to go ahead and do something a bit more seasonal of an offering. I'm going to go and brainstorm all of that in November, and I'm sure you'll hear about it when it's time to hear about it. So thank you so much again just for Playtest 2 and everything that these last 2 months have been for all of us. I want to thank you on behalf of everybody else that was in the playtest as well for really engaging in that experience and also sharing your excitement and your creativity with them. It really is more than just, you know, a few hundred of us being here on Patreon. I've seen so many people inspire so many other people with just the smallest parts of inspiration that you took from this, and it's never my intention to inspire anybody. I think it's a terrible task to try and give to yourself because the truth is we'll all be inspired different ways, but in whatever ways that you were and that you did decide to share that with somebody, I'm going to thank you on behalf of whoever you shared it with, because that is enriching to them, and I think you should just go forth with that and enjoy as much more as you can, whether it be in the back-end content or whether it be moving forward onto YouTube content and other creators. We've got Creator Box that's literally just been released, so that was a project that you helped bring to fruition, and I know you're going to bless people that way as well. So it's just a major thank you, a major, humongous, the biggest thank you I can muster to every single person that decided to join Playtest 2 this year. And that is pretty much it from me. I'll save the tears for when I turn the camera off. I've got goose pimples all over my body just thinking about how special it is. So thank you so much. I'll see you when I see you, and until next time, bye.